But I've been seeing like a lot of like street interviews, like scrolling through social media and other maybe like comedians talking about it, and they'll
Yeah.
always say something like, like on the street interviews, they'll ask people, "Hey, what's the biggest red flag in a person?"
Okay.
Like a guy or a girl, or whatever. And something that's been coming up is they'll say, "Oh, they have an Android."
Not
For
that
your
they believe
phone.
in flat Earth.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like seriously, like where are your priorities? Come on.
Okay. So the red flag is that they have an Android.
Yeah. And which I think is kind of ridiculous. But there's been this huge war going on now between like Android users and iPhone users.
You know what? We've
or,
talked about
or Apple.
tribalism on these podcasts several times when it
Yeah.
comes to politics or religion or other things or just society in general. It feels like everyone's got to pick their little club and
Yeah,
then defend it to the
Yeah.
death. But this is something that's been going on for forever.
Yeah.
I mean, even before like the phones and stuff, like Macs versus PCs and things like that.
Right.
So yeah, I'm a nerd and I have an opinion on this.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was more tribal than I am currently. But I will tell you that I have always been an Android and a Windows guy and all of that.
Yeah.
And past that, I've actually done some of that for a living, done things on like an enterprise level for Windows, Microsoft Windows. But when we decided to do this, well, actually, something I guess the audience doesn't know is I actually attempted to do this before this incarnation, right before it, but it never got to the point where we published anything. It kind of fell apart before then.
Yeah.
But I had done a bunch of research on what I should use for video editing, what I should use to shoot the videos on, what should I get?
Yeah.
And I decided, since I've never done any of this before, probably the easiest is to go with Apple. So I got this laptop and I got an iPad and I got an iPhone. And in the beginning, I thought, it's just going to be different. It'll do all the same things that I love on Android. It'll just be different.
Yeah.
And then I found out that's not the case. There are things that both Android and Apple do, and some of them are the same, and some of them are just go about it in a different way. But there are a ton of things that Apple does not do that Android does. And I got to tell you, I've had this phone for a year and a half. And I think when I get a new phone that I am going to go back to Android.
Yeah.
Because there are some things that Apple does well. If you are using an Apple laptop with an Apple iPad and you're using an Apple phone, it all does sync together, which is nice. But to be real honest, so does Android.
Yeah, it does. Excuse me.
I mean, I've never had a problem with it not syncing. Now, I am able to go from doing something on the laptop to something directly on the phone instantly.
Yeah, right.
And Android does that sometimes. And Apple does it more. I will say that.
Yeah.
But I think one of the problems is people see Android, and not all of Android is, let's call it high end. Like Android plays the full,
Yes, yeah.
like low end cheap, all the way to the super high end expensive.
Yeah, they do.
The issue is that all of mine have always been the super high end expensive ones. I always get like the Samsung flagship phones.
Yeah.
That's what you've got.
Yeah, that's what I got now.
Yeah. And it's a better screen, it's better speakers, better sound. You can do more, you can multi-screen it.
Yeah.
It's faster processors.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, there's a ton of Android features that I don't know if there's a lot, like who else knows about it. Like, let me just give you a quick example, which I don't know if iPhone users have this. I don't think that they do. So, you can like Bluetooth, music to like whatever, Bluetooth to another speaker.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that? And then say maybe you're in front of a lot of people, or a couple people, and you guys are all listening to music that's Bluetooth to the speaker, but you're using your phone, and say that you start pulling up YouTube, and maybe you like, just for whatever, and you pull up a YouTube video. Well, now that audio is going to go to that speaker.
Yeah.
On my Android, I can separate the sound. I can select which apps will play on the Bluetooth device or will play through the phone.
So you can, okay, I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
So you can continue just to use your phone, even though your phone is also being used for like the house music or whatever.
Yep. So I can be watching some TikToks on my phone and that audio is going through my phone and still play the Bluetooth music from my Pandora over the speaker.
See, that's pretty cool. One of the things that I instantly noticed that I missed when I went to an iPhone, because one of the things I do in the morning is I will be listening to a YouTube video and watching it in the corner, and then at the same time playing a game. And when I originally went to the iPhone, because iPhone is less about they're more heavy on the apps. They say like to the application developers, you develop all of this. When Android kind of sets like a standard that everything has to play in. And what I mean by that is like on the Android phones, you always have the 3 buttons for one that you can bring up. And then the other thing is there's some other gestures that will always work. Apple does a little bit of that, but they lean more on the app side. So I originally wanted to bring up a YouTube video and have it play in the corner. And when I got the phone, YouTube didn't have picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
And then when they finally got it, it didn't work correctly. But on an Android, I don't have to wait for the app to do a picture-in-picture. I can pick any 2 apps and just resize them.
Yeah.
And I can do split screen or picture-in-picture or whatever I want. And I just found that so annoying.
Yeah.
Like I thought this was like a basic thing.
Yeah.
But evidently it wasn't.
No, yeah. There's a lot of features that, people who want to crap on Androids, they don't realize that it's extremely useful and productive.
I think people get used to whatever they are used to and they stick in that track.
Yeah.
And they won't try something else because they are different.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get as fast on the Apple as I was on the Android just because everything was a little different, which I'm fine with. But when the options are removed, that was annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I guess I'm the same way because I've never used an iPhone. I've always had Android phones. So like you said, from the lowest up to the highest end. Yeah, there's just so many useful features. It's, so I personally, I don't see why there's such a hate towards Android. I mean, I don't hate iPhones. I just think my Android's more productive.
One of the things I will tell you that really, really ticks me off about Apple is on the iPhone, it's like you can only do really one thing at a time. And they take this to an extreme.
Yeah.
If I do anything on the phone, like let's say I want to see what apps are open, everything disappears except for what you're doing. So if you're seeing your open apps, it's all you're seeing.
Yeah.
But when I mean everything, the clock disappears from the top.
Oh, yeah.
Which drives me nuts.
Yeah.
And when I use MagSafe to do, which is just the magnetic but wireless charging and wireless a bunch of stuff. Okay. Well, when I use MagSafe, my MagSafe charger, I pull it off. Like let's say I'm laying in bed and I hear a noise or something on my phone. It's alerting me something's going on. I want to look at it. I grab it off the charger, and then it tells me what level I'm charged to for like 3 seconds. And no matter what I do, I can't get that off the screen.
Yeah.
And all I want to do is check my notifications.
Yeah.
Or if I go to unlock it and I wear contacts, so at night I'm wearing glasses, and it doesn't do a great job of recognizing me with the glasses. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But especially if I'm laying down and the pillow's against my face and things like that, it's not great. But there's a way that you can you click on Face ID and then you can enter in your code and then unlock it that way.
Yeah.
Fine. But if I pull the pull down to see my notifications, which is what I want to see, then I've got to go through the unlock. And then when I get through the unlock, then it takes me to the main screen. So then I've got to pull the pull down again to get back to my notifications. I'm like, what? Just unlock where it was. Like on an Android, I would just unlock right there, look at my notifications, realize I can go back to bed,
Yeah.
throw it right back on the charger.
Yeah.
Why are you making me do the extra step? Why are you making me wait?
Yeah.
And why stop taking the clock off the screen? Just
Yeah.
leave it in the corner.
Yeah. Can your iPhone, like, can you look at the main screen in like portrait mode or landscape? Like, can you turn the phone?
No.
No, because my Androids can do that.
Yeah, I know. I know. And you know, the other thing I really hate is they've set it up in a way where you should just bring out all the apps that you use
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
At no point should you really go over to, I don't know what you'd even call it, like the Finder, like where you find all the apps.
Yeah. The app drawer.
Yeah, or what?
Yeah, good.
Android, you can, everything is customizable. At least on the Android phones I've had.
Yeah.
I can change the way the home screen looks. I can change the way the title at the top looks. I can change the way my notifications come up. Most of that you cannot change on an Apple. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Apple is like, this is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
And they don't care what you want to do.
Yeah.
So if I flip over to the where all the apps are, if I don't already have it on like one of my home screens or in a folder, they are organized by like most recently used and also like there's a bunch of categories.
Oh, yeah.
Not one of them is alphabetical. And it ticks me off. So every time I go over there, I have so many apps, I have to go to the search bar at the top and I either have to hit the microphone and ask for it, or I could ask her for it. I don't want to say her name right now because she's sitting right over there.
Yeah.
Or I'd have to type it in. But with an Android, if I've already decided, like maybe I've decided, organize them by the time that I installed them. So I know the last installed app would be at the bottom. Or maybe I always used to do alphabetical.
Yeah.
So I know the app name and I would just flip up and then flip, click.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, well now click search and then type it in. Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
It's like you're adding this step.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of apps on Android, you just hit the back button once to get to the like previous screen. But Apple doesn't have that. So okay, let's say YouTube again. If I'm in YouTube sideways full screen, sometimes first of all, when I rotate it doesn't flip out. So then I've got to hit the out of full screen. And then now it's out of full screen, but then I got to hit the pull down on the top. But with Android, I could just hit the back button.
Yeah.
And it would I'd be at the same screen. There was an extra step there again.
Yeah.
And it's not the end of the world, but when you know that you could be faster and use less buttons and it just be simpler, it gets kind of annoying. Like I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? And why do people argue that this is better?
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
I will tell you, I've been very happy with the videos that Apple takes,
Yeah.
the pictures, their post-processing on pictures is nuts. I think technically a lot of times the Android hardware is better for the cameras, but Apple does some post-processing something that just makes the image look insane.
Yeah.
That's nice. Or when I'm sitting at my laptop, if somebody texts me, my text messages actually come up on my laptop
Nice.
or on my iPad.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Android stuff where I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, the one thing I've never done is I don't have it like synced to my desktop. I should check that out to see how well the phone does that with the desktop or laptop.
Well, now, wait a second. You've signed into your Gmail, right?
Well, yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
kind of
so it's
synced.
same. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so please let us know in the comments about, if you've got anything to say about this, especially this Android iPhone thing. I would love to hear people's thoughts on those.
Yeah, I guess the one thing I didn't say that I'm going to say right now is whenever you watch like any of these big name reviewers, let's call it, or like tech reviewers, and they get asked what they use,
Yeah,
a lot of them will say Android.
yeah,
And so I just don't understand the argument. Maybe you guys can clarify it for me, but somebody who's got access to unlimited amounts of phones and then always slide over to whatever the newest Android is.
Yes. Yeah.